Here's how I did my Melanie Martinez Portals inspired makeup. So let's go and get started. I started off with a pink base. Now I only started off with this on the lower portion of my face just to kind of see how this color would look in comparison to the darker pink that I had, and I preferred this lighter, almost bubblegum pink. And after going and putting some of this on, mainly the lower portion of my face, along with also just kind of to see if it would cover my eyebrows, I realized it would not cover my eyebrows. So I glued them down, and then I went over with some flesh tone powdered cosmetic. After I put that onto both of my eyebrows, then I went back over them with some of the pink cosmetic that I had to see if it would cover it up. Sometimes it works with usually colors that are a bit darker, but this time it did not, so I used some Color Set powder, and this is Mayron Color Set powder, and this actually covered up pretty well. Then I went back over with some of the pink, and you can see that my eyebrows are very well concealed now. So after that dried, which it did take a little bit of time, I went and I started to add some highlights on my chin, along with also my cheeks and my forehead. I wanted to kind of follow the shape of my cheeks to make them look just a bit more pronounced and also rounder, to go and mimic how Melanie Martinez's character looks from her newest album, Portals. And I wanted to go and put some highlights down first, so then I can go and put some shadow underneath these areas. Made sure to also get my nose, and this is important because I wanted to make my nose look smaller, then went back over everything, blended it out with some of the pink that I had. And at this point, I just used some of the remaining cosmetic that was already on the brush. Usually with blending, I try not to add too much cosmetic into the mix because then it gets a little bit darker than I actually want it to, and this is a pretty important step just because I really do want some of the highlights here, but I don't want it to be too intense. Now I went back over the lower portion with just a small amount more of white, along with also on my chin, and also on my cheek again, and then my forehead. Now drawing on the eyes. Eyes are usually very almond-like in shape, so keep that in mind for the shape of how you want to go and do this. Then I filled it in with some black cosmetic, and I wanted to go and keep these to look kind of more like almost a spider in comparison to more like anime eyes. I just feel like the look that I was kind of going more for, this just fits it a lot better because I do not want to wear contacts when I do a lot of my makeup. I tend to get makeup in my eyes and I don't want an issue to go and happen with them because eye infections are awful. So after those were colored in, I put some eyelashes down there and made sure to get some on the top along with also on the bottom. And I wanted these to look nice and long and also wispy. The bottom ones I made just slightly longer. Then I went and I put some highlights with some white cosmetic in the corners along with also at the top. Put some purple where my eye is here. And I'm using powdered cosmetic for this. Then I went and slightly blended it. Put some purple at the edges. Put some purple above my eye. Then underneath where my cheeks are, I went over with some purple cosmetic mixed with a darker pink cosmetic, and this is just to go and give it some shadow. Always remember where there is light, you're always going to have shadow underneath. Went all the way to the edges of where my lips are, and then I blended it out. I had this brush very lightly dipped in some of the pink cosmetic that I used for the base, and I noticed that it really helped with at least that to go and blend. I also re-dipped it in some of the white cosmetic that I had just to go and perfect some of the highlights and make it look a bit more pronounced because I noticed when I was doing some of the other makeup, just the colors blended into each other, which sometimes it does happen, especially with this paint that I'm using. After this cosmetic dried, where I have the second eyes, I'm putting some purple powdered cosmetic just to go and match my lower eyes, of course my real eyes below. But after I went and did that, put some onto my nose to go and make the center of my nose pronounced a bit more. Put some red cosmetic onto my lips, and this is going to be for outlining my lips. Now again, I was trying to go for a bit more of an arachnid look, so I wanted to keep my lips looking pretty small. I didn't want to go and extend it too much, but I did want to go and put the little lines here at the edges. And I was kind of thinking for the upper portion more of a triangular look to keep it looking kind of like almost spider fangs, which I thought looked pretty cool after this makeup was completed. I went back and re-blended everything just to go and make my cheeks look a bit more pronounced, put a darker cosmetic at the edges, followed up with some purple where my eyes were just to blend everything out a bit more, followed up again where the purple was after the base color dried again, and really added some shadow there. I also put some shadow around my chin, and I used a light purple cosmetic for this. Now for my eyes. I went and I used black cosmetic over the top portion of my lid, waited for that to dry, and in between each layer of this, I did spray with some setting spray. It's pretty important to go and do this because if you don't, then it's going to go and maybe move around a bit. Now I did use reference photos for this, and I always do suggest for any makeup look or art that you're creating that you do have some sort of reference up. It helps so much if you do. Before you go and move on to any more cosmetic, it's a good idea to wait for this layer to dry. Then I put some white over the second eyes, just because I thought it looked, honestly, kind of plain without it. Now that the cosmetic on my eyelids has dried, I'm putting some white highlights at the corner and the sides, brushing a very small amount of green through my hair. And after that is brushed through and fully and totally dried, because I don't want this to go and get onto the paper ears that I made, which there is a tutorial that is linked in the description of this video on how you can go and make these, along with also a little tiny card is going to pop out at the side. I used some water-soluble and also skin-safe glue, or just a glue stick, the same one that I glued down my eyes with, stuck these down and held them in place, took about 30 seconds for it to fully adhere to my skin, covered it with my hair, and here is my Portals-inspired look. If you haven't already, definitely go and give some of the new songs from the Portals album a listen. I am linking a few of my favorite ones below. And here is a closer look at the makeup look that I created. I really do like how this turned out. I think the ears really tied everything together, so thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video, and there are more tutorials that you can find on my profile. Take care and have a good one!